Hello everyone, welcome to the Ranting Shop. This is me, Melissa, and today I'm gonna do a review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 3, Episode 1. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of this episode, I just want to get into what my whole synopsis of this episode was and what it told us about the cast. The biggest takeaway was that nothing much has changed. Everyone is the same way we left them. Nothing significant has really happened, not that I could see. So firstly, Martell is still a very stinky narcissist, and that is something that is just him, and I don't think that's something that could change because I don't think he wants it to change, but he's still the same. Tisha is a crybaby who is unable to take accountability for her actions. She lacks empathy and understanding of other people's situations. Everything is always about her and how you treat her and how you don't do anything good for her, and we are gonna see this throughout the episode. She gets very tiring after a while, very annoying after a while. Actually, she got annoying a couple episodes ago, but at this point we just tolerating Tisha because we want to see what happens with Martell and Melody and Kimmy and Maurice. I call him Maurice. Is it Maurice or is it Maurice? I don't know. And then we have the new couple. They haven't showed up yet. And then we have Destiny. Oh my goodness. There was some tea about Destiny released prior to this episode's premiere, but we're going to get into that later. Kimmy is clearly at a breaking point with Tisha and all her family members because at the end of the day they're all the same and they all have the same or similar mindsets, and that has to be draining to have to deal with that type of personality in multiple people. So I completely understand. She has been dealing with Tisha and her childish mess for a long time, and at this point she's up to here with it, and so are we watching. Destiny is, as we came to realize, she's still friends with Melody thus far, but there has indeed been a divorce. They have been divorced for a while. It's not something that just happened and just popped up. And we're gonna see what Destiny has to say about that. And Mel is moving on to bigger and better things. So that is essentially, but still trying to, I suppose, navigate through the businesses and projects that she and Martell undertook together while they were married. All right, so let's just get into it. You guys know I don't like wasting time. Okay, so we're gonna just go into how everything went. I'm gonna give my commentary here and there. So, it started off with a flashback of things that had happened previously in the episode, and the comeback from the very beginning of the comeback group and Martell and Melody's divorce and how everybody, has progressed beyond that. And one thing that really struck me was when Maurice said that a perfect scenario is if Martell and Melody get back together. Are you crazy? Are you absolutely insane? Or are you just purposely being oblivious? This woman suffered in this marriage for years. This man was cheating on her and disrespecting her. And you think that the best thing that could happen is for her to go back into that toxicity? Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how that makes sense. At the end of the day, he didn't even make that comment in regards to the well-being of either of the parties. He was making that comment in regards to the comeback group and the monetary gains he could get from them coming back together. I did not appreciate Maurice and that comment, and that says a lot about him. A lot of us feel as if Maurice is this really nice guy and all this stuff, but deep down inside there's this toxic masculinity that he hides underneath this veil of niceness. But anyways, his brother just does it better. His brother just is more overt with his toxic masculinity. So let's go into the intro. I absolutely love the new intro. If you've watched Love and Marriage Huntsville prior to this particular season, there were no intros. There were little introductions as far as where they were at that point, but these intros were great. I loved it. So it started off with Scott Manor, and they're trying to decide what are they gonna do moving forward with the property. It's always raining, so it's difficult to, start a foundation so that they could begin building on that property. They talk about Tisha and her being indecisive about what she wants on the property, and that is what has created such a stalling as far as them progressing with building, and Marceau was like, well, a happy wife is an indecisive woman that doesn't know what she wants, basically. And they talk about Marceau and Kimmy. Kimmy's not interested in moving on this family plot of land because she feels like she's gonna have to deal with Letitia and her annoying, irritating, childish behavior a lot of the time when she does not want to have to face her and deal with that mess all of the time. And she told that to them last season. All right, so it's nothing new. Marceau said something that I've been saying from the time I've started reviewing this show, and it's that Martell and Letitia are literally the same. They're very similar in that they are unable to step back from things and just let things go. They always have to get back at it and try to resolve it and try to fix it when there's no resolve. Let it go. And that, I believe, is true. They're also both childish, so that's another thing. Then they talk about Martell's interview on the Strawberry Letter, and I did a review of that if you guys want to go check it out on my channel, where he spoke to Steve Harvey about his infidelity and about wanting to get back with Melody. And I basically broke down all the lies that he was telling on that interview. And the guys thought that the apology that he gave to Melody was sincere. I did not see the sincerity in that apology at all. I only saw a man trying to turn the negative perceptions that people have of him into something positive, but it failed. It didn't work because nobody bought it. He came on the show telling lies. If you come on the show telling lies, it's very difficult for people to then see your apology as genuine, right? Marceau is also feeling like, yes, he could apologize, and he said he thought the apology was sincere. However, Martell is the type of person that's liable to change his mind or to change his feelings about certain things. He kind of has a little bit of a volatile personality situation. So he said something very smart. And you know, sometimes Marceau says something smart, and it's like you want to dislike Marceau so much, but because sometimes he's a little funny, a little humorous, and he, you know, gives you some good tidbits, some good points, it's like it's difficult. So you have this love-hate relationship with him, you know. So he was saying that it's not about saying that you're sorry, it's about changed behavior, and I completely agree with that. You know, it should be a situation of accountability, and he should be speaking to his wife about accountability because she has absolutely none. However, I do give Marceau credit because he absolutely does not encourage that type of behavior from her. He holds her accountable. She doesn't like it, but he holds her accountable, and I cannot fault him for that. So Mel is getting back in touch with herself. She's been married for a long time, ever since her whole 20s up until into her 30s. She's been married. She's speaking with Destiny, you know, and she's talking about learning herself, and she's realizing that her tolerance is extremely low. And Destiny talked about her brunch with Kimmy, and she said it was cool and that they're in fact very similar in their personalities. She said that Kimmy, however, was inquiring about personal business, and I don't know if it was about LaBeric or about Melody at that point, but she's like, Kimmy should mind her business. Well, you should be telling Kimmy to mind her business. You shouldn't be telling Melody that Kimmy should mind her business. Okay. Destiny says that she's officially divorced from LaBeric. LaBeric William was her husband, and he came on the scene sometime last season, sometime I can't even recall. Destiny does not feel like men know how to compromise because they were having the debate about the last name, and she felt like the last name had such emotional significance and ties to her deceased family, and she wanted to keep it that way. But LaBeric was like, it's very important to him to give her his last name. So I don't think that was the reason why they got divorced, but communication could have been a huge reason for their failed marriage. So Destiny did not tell Melody anything, and Melody was, of course, shocked and I suppose a little offended because I'm supposed to be your friend and you don't feel confident enough in me to confide something so life-changing to me. And as Destiny said, it's not that she didn't want to necessarily tell her, because it was more so because she wanted to keep that, you know, thing to herself. She wanted to go through the emotions on her own. She didn't want people in her ear telling her what she should do, what she shouldn't do. She just wanted to, and I completely understand that, to be honest with you. You know, and she mentions that as opposed to how Melody took her divorce, which was very hard, it was very hard for Melody. Destiny, her viewpoint about everything is she sees it as a ray of sunshine. I suppose she felt her divorce became a burden, and she has come to terms with it. In fact, she says she's way ahead of people. Every time she tells people that she is indeed divorced, their reaction is somewhat of remorse and regret for her and all that, but her reaction to it is, I'm over that, I've gone through that, it's done with, you know. And then LaBeric decided that a day before the premiere of Love and Marriage Huntsville, he would announce his divorce from Destiny. So we got his announcement before we actually heard her announcement, and I will post that here so you could read what he was basically saying. Now, it seemed as if the post he made had already been probably made in advance, because below the post he mentions the fact that the divorce is final. So if the divorce is final, why is your message saying or implying that you are in the process of getting a divorce? That I did not understand. It clearly is something that he probably was in the works for quite some time. Now we go to Marceau and Mila, his little girl. One thing about Marceau and Letitia, one thing positive I could say about them is they make beautiful, beautiful children. The children are a mix of Marceau and Letitia, and they're very pretty. The girls are so pretty, the boys so handsome. So Mila is calling her dad on the phone, talking about she wants potato chips and stuff like that. And it was a really cute interaction to see another side of Marceau, to see a more fatherly, you know, interaction with his children, because we've never gotten to see that from him before. Kimmy comes through. Turns out that Kimmy is a caterer, and she is meal planning for Marceau because he wants to make sure that his diet is on point and he doesn't consume any junk. So while that interaction is taking place, they talk about the Scott family, and Kimmy feels as though the Scott family don't really like her, as more so Letitia's side of things. They don't like her, they don't want to be around her. That's the perception that she has. So she's like, if you guys don't like me and all that stuff, why do you want me to cater your wife's second master's degree surprise party? That makes no sense. I have no sense of where I stand with Letitia. I have no sense of where I stand with Wanda. I don't even know if I like Wanda, but then you're telling me I have to plan something by myself for a family that I don't know if they like me. That makes absolutely no sense. And then he was like, she essentially said, she initially said no, but later on she said she will help. You know, it's not a partnership, but she will help. Anyways, we go to Tisha. Tisha is speaking to her cousin Kiki, and her cousin Kiki looks just like Miss Wanda. You could swear that that is the one that's Miss Wanda's child. So she knows that Marceau is planning a surprise party, so the surprise is spoiled because she already knows she's graduating from her second master's degree, and it's sometimes very difficult to comprehend that she has 2 master's degrees just because of the way she maneuvers life and the way she maneuvers social situations, and even how she speaks. Like, I know I am sounding very stereotypical here, but I know a lot of people are thinking, where did you get your degrees from? Because, and that's the thing with degrees and education. You could be educated, but that doesn't mean that you are smart. There's a complete difference in the two. The only thing you need to get master's degree is you need a plan. You need to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do for my thesis, my area of interest. And there's no need for you to be of above average intelligence. If so, very few people would be getting master's degrees. So anyway, so I was talking to her cousin. They talk about Kimmy. She's talking about the fact that Kimmy doesn't feel like there's an olive branch to extend to Tisha. She feels like and is aggravated that she's considered the bad guy among Tisha's family members, when really and truly Kimmy didn't do anything wrong. In fact, she did the right thing and is kind of getting crucified for that. She's confused as to where she is with them. Tisha also says that she always says that, you know, while speaking with Kiki, she says that, oh, she wants everything to just go back to normal. She just wants everything to be kumbaya. But she's messy. She's really messy. So it's kind of a contradiction. As much as you want kumbaya, you're unable to understand that you're adding to the chaos. Kimmy said, ask Wanda to cater the party or to plan it. And Marceau is like, he doesn't really like Miss Wanda's food. Letitia doesn't like her food. So anyways, as I said before, Kimmy said that should help. Destiny and Martell talk. Oh my goodness. And that was a clip circulating around social media because it was so like, oh my gosh, that people had a lot to say about it. So Destiny and Martell talk about the post that he posted on social media. And if you recall, I did do a video about that, and I did do a review, or I should say I did discuss Melody's reaction. Melody felt completely disrespected when Martell decided to post a picture of him and little Melanie and talk about his 5th illegitimate child as well. She felt highly disrespected, but I do feel like it's not Destiny's place to kind of question Martell on what he posts on his social media. If anything, Melody should be the one to talk about that with him, but I understand that because she's very close to Melody, she feels the need to want to defend her and to stick up for her, but it just was not her place. Martell wants everyone to just mind their business and get his business out of their minds, mouths, and everything like that. But at the end of the day, Martell, you came on a public platform doing dirty shit, and you can't really police how people think or what people decide to talk about, period. Destiny feels like Martell was insensitive when he posted the post and that he lacks empathy. But that is one of the most telltale signs of a narcissist. They are unable to feel empathy. They lack empathy. So there you have it. Martell is kind of, it appears that he's just very mad that Melody actually moved on from him. And I believe that bothers him a lot more than he's willing to accept or acknowledge. So Martell, because Miss Destiny's like, what do you have in the box? Because Destiny has a, what do you call, a beauty supply store. So he came to the store with a bunch of, I suppose, skincare products and hair care products, and they have a little bit of a confusing moment because Destiny's like, okay, what's going on in the box? And he's like, well, this skincare thing, I have this and that. And then he's talking about he's part owner of the company, he gets 20%. And then she's like, well, have you signed any of the letters or any contracts? And he said no. And his explanation was that, oh, he's waiting for his divorce to be finalized. Bear in mind, his divorce has been finalized. I just feel like, and as Destiny called that, he's just being extremely sneaky, because that is probably a venture that he did with Melody as well, and he wants to move forward without Melody, so he's trying to keep the thing under wraps. But Destiny caught him. She saw what he was doing and how he was moving, and she called him out on it. She also mentioned that, you know, him trying to do things on his own does not really look good for him, because it's almost like he doesn't know what he's doing. And as Destiny pointed out, Melody may have been the brains of the operation, because clearly you don't know what the hell you're doing coming to this woman's shop with products that are not even, you're not even part owner of. Or but what the problem she really had with it was that he was being sneaky and leaving Melody out of something that they had previously agreed on. So I think that was the issue there. So they talk about marriages, and of course Destiny took a shot at him and asked him, well, do you think that you worked hard for your marriage? He's talking about, yes, it was 12 years. And then she's like, okay, I managing 2 different relationships. And then of course Martell is easily offended, and he asked about LeBeric. And then she says it's up to God now, but they have already been divorced. So I'm surprised as to why she's saying it's in God's hands. I mean, you guys are already divorced. You said that to Melody, right? I guess she just doesn't want Martell in her business, and she doesn't want to kind of admit to the fact that her marriage did fail. Because if you remember previous episodes, Martell kept telling her that, oh, you'll see how your marriage goes, you'll see how it goes, and it didn't even last very long. So that must be very embarrassing to even want to admit to somebody that already made you feel like you didn't know what marriage was about, and you didn't know what the process would entail. And he even said something quite disgusting when he said that Destiny is getting divorced because of her mouth, and his sentiment is that that's why he divorced Melody for her mouth. And I'd like to correct Mr. Martell, because at the end of the day, we're not gonna skip bypass this. You got a divorce because Melody decided to divorce you. It wasn't your decision. It wasn't something you planned to do. It's not something you had in the woodworks. It was her that decided to let you go. And up till this day, you are unable to come to terms with the fact that this woman decided to let you go. You just cannot. You absolutely cannot deal with that fact. Talking about, oh, it was because of Melody's mouth. Melody has been having a mouth, and you were with her for how many? For 14 years? So apparently the mouth wasn't that big of a deal. It's only a big deal now that she's calling you out on your BS with her mouth. You can't take that. Martell is somebody that has a fragile ego, and he's talking about, oh, when a woman talks so much or has so much mouth, she's gonna end up not finding a man. But the thing about it is, or the man she does find is gonna be a weak man. But Martell doesn't really even understand that he is the weak man that he's talking about, because he's highly insecure. And what work did you put in? Was the work you put in being in 2 places at the same time effectively, efficiently? Was that the work? Because it seems like that was essentially what you considered work. Because if you were doing work within your marriage, you wouldn't be out there searching for other people to put your thing inside of. So Mel has a meeting about her song Telltale Signs. I have it on Spotify. It's a pretty good song, pretty cool to listen to sing, very catchy. If you don't know about Telltale Signs, go to Spotify and search for Telltale Signs. It is one of Melody's, actually her only song that she's made, and it was about her divorce and about Martell, and she says it was about other people's situations on top of that as well, not just her experience. and she's having a meeting with, I suppose, her managers, and they're talking about how to move the brand forward. And Chris comes in. And Chris came in, and remember, Chris is he's both of their friends. He came in and he wanted to offer Melody something pertaining to the 47 acres. And what his proposal was for Melody to build some property on the 47 acres. And she wanted to approach it cautiously, so she said that basically, have you spoken to Martell about that? Because the 47 acres, if you see from previews, is something that he is very passionate about, and Melody understands that, and she understands that he has a fragile ego and will feel some type of way if she decides to do something without his consent about the 47 acres that they both decided to venture into. So she proceeded cautiously, and she's like, well, you should talk to him first, and so that he doesn't feel as if there's any misunderstanding or any grimy behavior. And that speaks to Melody's maturity, and it speaks to her consideration of I suppose, other people that she cares about, and her wanting to be fair. She just doesn't want issues with Martell, because we see how Martell can go from 0 to 100 real quick, and she doesn't want to be a part of his hurricane. So, but the whole reason why I think Chris went to Melody first is because he thinks that out of the two, Melody is the one with the most integrity. He knows that she did nothing to destroy the marriage, and it was all on Martell. So because Martell has shown that he could be very dishonest, I suppose that turns business people off, because it's like, how do I know that you will pull through with a contract or something that we signed on? Like, you're liable to flip at any moment. You're liable to lie, cheat, and steal at any moment, So I suppose he felt more comfortable going with Melody. And then we go to Tisha's second master's degree party. And Tisha's brother is there. A lot of Tisha's family members are there. And her brother is called T-Man. T-Man and Kiki. Like, what type of name is T-Man, first of all? But anyway, they go at Kimmy. They're basically asking Kimmy about her relationship with Letitia, and then they wanted to add their 2 cents, which I think had nothing to do with them. I understand that that is your sister and that is your relative, but again, that has nothing to do with them. And just in that instance, I noticed that a lot of Letitia's bad behavior is from her family. She got it from the people in her family, tolerating, accepting, not admonishing her terrible behavior. And that is why she's like this as an adult. Because what they came to Kimmy to ask was basically, well, the brother was like, oh, you know that my sister is very sensitive. So it seemed like her whole life, her family has been coddling her and treating her like a baby. Oh, don't get little Tisha's feelings hurt. She's so sensitive. Like, cut the stuff. And another thing I noticed about the family is that they're very quick to defend the family members, right or wrong. And that is the biggest issue or biggest point of contention between Kimmy and Letitia. Kimmy is not someone that is going to be willing to lie, cheat, and steal in the name of loyalty. She is just not that type of person. She's a person of integrity. If you ask, and Kiki was talking about, oh, at the reunion, they feel like she should have had Tisha's back more. So you wanted the lady to lie. You wanted her to lie and say they never spoke about Melody when she knows they did. Come on. We're talking about grown people here. We're not talking about kindergarten. We're not talking about the playground. She was asked the question and she answered it honestly. And then Kimmy is like, okay, so you feel like I should have lied. What is it that you think I should have said? How do you think I should have responded? And then she's like, oh, well, I must agree or whatever that you were honest. So if you think that what she did was honest, what is your standing in this whole conversation? What is the point of the conversation? It's almost like there's a situation of loyalty versus integrity on in that particular part of the family. It's just not how it's not how Kimmy does things. I don't understand why it's so difficult for Tisha to just come to terms with that. You guys have been going back and forth for probably years now about this same thing. I'm sick of it as a viewer. I'm sick of it, to be honest with you. And you could tell, look at Kimmy's face. Kimmy is highly irritated because she feels like we've been talking about this for years now. When is it gonna come to an end? Where is the closing to this? Because it just seems like this cycle of ongoing explanations to Tisha that I am not going to lie for you. It's okay for us to disagree with each other. I said that Kiki should just go somewhere, like go sit down somewhere, go eat something, because you coming here asking dumb questions, saying dumb stuff, looking like Miss Wonder, Just go. Just go, because that conversation was absolutely pointless. Kimmy is highly irritated because there's no accountability on Tisha's part. None. So I'm happy that Kimmy said, don't you think that essentially Letitia should not have lied? Don't you think that Letitia should have just told the truth? How about that? And of course, how could you come up with a defense for that? There's literally no defense. Why don't you encourage your family member to be honest as opposed to wanting me to lie because she decided to lie? That's crap. So Tisha comes in. Her husband gives her a watch, and I'm assuming it's an expensive little watch. And she does her speech and says, although Marceau makes her cry, it's all in love. And the fact that she felt the need to even mention that in a public setting says that she also has that same smoke that she has with Kimmy for her husband. But of course, she approaches her husband differently because that's her husband. But it's like everybody around her primarily thinks the same way, except for her and her family members. Marceau always holds this woman accountable, and that is a good reason why she always cries, because she feels like her husband doesn't have her back. But the thing is, her husband doesn't encourage her foolishness, and that's what it is. Mel gives her a massage, and I'm just so happy that they're at least coming to terms with being cordial with each other, being nice to each other. And she offered her a massage, and come to find out, that was really where their friendship began and started. So Kimmy talks to Letitia. And before we even go into that, Marceau has a little bit of an interaction with her family members, and they talk about that other side of the track comment. And Marceau looks like he's drowning, trying to explain himself. And he's like, well, I meant that. Actually, he never actually said what he meant by the other side of the tracks. Why didn't you say your family was on the other side of the tracks? Why say it was her family? You said that on purpose, and you knew what you meant. You're not BSing anybody. You know, you could BS her family because they seem a little bit slow. But you can't BS us. He called them Wanda's minions, which was hilarious. He's like, it's bad enough I have to deal with Wanda, but now I have to deal with Wanda's basic duplicates, basically. So Tisha and Kimmy talk, and her thing is, it was a simple disagreement about certain things. Kimmy feels like she should react to things or be a particular way about certain things, and Letitia just doesn't agree to that. And that's what it is. Tisha feels like there's this lack of support from Kimmy, and I don't feel like there's a lack of support. It's just that what she requires as support is not what Kimmy thinks is support. And I have to be on Kimmy's side on this. I will not ever blindly be loyal to somebody, right or wrong. I can't do that. I would have to call you out when you're wrong. I would have to stand up for what is right at the end of the day. But I'm just really sick of just going round and round about this, and I'm sick of them having this conversation, and I feel as if at some point it's gonna get to a head, because there's only so much of these conversations we could have about loyalty versus integrity. I'm sick of it. If Letitia with her multiple degrees cannot come to terms or understand where Kimmy is coming from, then I don't know what to tell her. I literally don't know what to tell this woman. I understand you didn't have sisters, but you have to come to the realization that your definition of loyalty is not how other people view your loyalty. There's a difference between blindly being loyal to people, right, wrong, indifferent, and there's another thing to just be honest. Just be an honest human being, regardless of who it is. Kimmy speaks on the Kaiwa situation, and she said she felt no support there either. But she's not out here running, crying, screaming to Tisha about how Tisha didn't support her. And that's the difference. Tisha asks for things she does not provide. She wants Kimmy to be biased for her. But Kimmy feels like they actually created that monster. And I agree. Because as I said before, her family does the same thing to her. They coddle her because, oh, she's a little sensitive. Tisha, oh, don't scream at her. Oh, don't do this, don't do that. They make her feel this entitlement. So she's entitled to demand certain things from her friends, but she does not take her own demands into consideration as well. She does not internalize what she asks of other people. And that to me is a hypocrite. Kimmy feels like a broken record. I'm sick of it. I'm over it at this point. Tisha always says she doesn't want to talk about the past, doesn't want to rehash things. But you continue to do so at the end of the day. You continue to bring up the past. And Another thing about wanting for people to not rehash their past, another perspective is that you just want all that tension and animosity to be buried under a rug. You don't want to confront that. You don't want that to ever be resolved. At the end of the day, it's literally like, if it's not her way, it's no way. There's no resolving. And that's the reason why they will have to continue to go back to the past or revisit the past, because there is literally, it doesn't seem to be any conclusion. The conclusion is when you eventually bend to her will. And Kimmy is not about to do that. Anyways, you guys, that was my review of Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 3, Episode 1. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think I needed to add more things? Do you think I covered it all? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Let me know in the comment section. You are free to share your opinions, but as I said many times, be respectful. And see you guys next time on The Ranting Shop. Like, subscribe. Bye-bye.